in a bustling corner of the city, there lived a young man named Saiha. He carried within him a grand dream of becoming an outstanding architect, a creator of magnificent structures that would touch the sky. Yet, with each passing day, this dream felt more distant, more unattainable. He found himself paralyzed by a sense of inadequacy, unable to take the first step. He knew with absolute certainty that he needed to begin working on his design projects. But whenever he sat down at his desk, a familiar and frustrating pattern would unfold. Without even thinking, he would open Facebook, scroll endlessly through his feed, or lose himself in a rabbit hole of funny videos until the late hours of the night. By the time he looked up, the precious hours he had set aside for his dream were gone, vanished into the digital ether. A wave of stress and self-blame would wash over him, leaving him feeling defeated before he had even started. One afternoon, while seeking a solution to his perpetual cycle of procrastination, Saiha came across a book titled Atomic Habits. The book proposed a radical idea, that profound life transformation wasn't about massive, earth-shattering changes, but about the slow, steady accumulation of tiny improvements, just 1% better every day. A spark of hope ignited within him. He decided to put these principles into practice, to conduct an experiment on his own life, starting with the very first law: make it obvious. His first step was to consciously design his environment to prompt the right actions. He completely reorganized his workspace, transforming it from a zone of distraction into a launching pad for creativity. He placed his pristine sketchbook and a set of sharp pencils directly on the desk, right next to his computer, making them the first things he saw. To solidify this new intention, he taped a small, handwritten note to the corner of his monitor. It read, "After drinking my morning coffee, I will draw for 10 minutes at this desk." This wasn't just a reminder. It was a specific formula, a technique the book called habit stacking. He was linking his new desired habit drawing to an existing automatic one: drinking his morning coffee. The cue was set, the location was defined. Simultaneously, he had to make his bad habits invisible. With a sense of liberating finality, he deleted the gaming apps from his phone and made a new rule. His phone would be placed in another room, far away from his work area, until his lunch break. By removing the cues for distraction, he was making it harder to fall into his old, unproductive patterns. Next, Saiha had to confront the second law: make it attractive. He was keenly aware that for his brain, the act of sitting down to draw complex designs felt difficult and demanding, while the allure of scrolling through his phone was easy and attractive. Needed to flip this equation. He decided to use a strategy called temptation bundling, which pairs an action you asterisk, one asterisk to do with an action you asterisk need asterisk to do. Saiha loved listening to music. His favorite playlists had the power to transport him. So he made a new pact with himself. He would only allow himself the pleasure of listening to his favorite music while he was actively engaged in drawing his designs. The habit he needed to build was now bundled with a craving he already had. His new, more appealing habit formula became: after my morning coffee, I will go to my desk and draw for 10 minutes while listening to my favorite music. The chore of starting was now sweetened by an immediate reward, with the cues in place and the habit made more attractive. Saiha moved on to the third law: make it easy. He recognized that one of his biggest mental hurdles was the sheer scale of his ambition. The thought of finishing an entire architectural plan was so intimidating that it paralyzed him. He needed to shrink the habit down to a size that was impossible to refuse. He embraced the 2-minute rule. Instead of setting a goal to complete a whole drawing, he set the smallest, most manageable goal imaginable. He would simply draw 5 lines. That's it. On other days, his goal was to read just 2 pages from one of his architecture books. It seemed almost laughably insignificant, a ridiculously small step towards such a monumental dream, but its power was in its effortlessness. It made the act of starting so easy that he couldn't say no. And a funny thing began to happen. Once he had drawn those 5 lines, he often found himself in the flow, and without any pressure. He would continue drawing for much longer. Those 2 pages of reading frequently turned into a full chapter. He had lowered the barrier to entry so much that he simply stumbled past it. Finally, to ensure these fledgling habits would stick for the long term, Saha had to implement the 4th law. Make it satisfying. For a habit to persist, the brain needs to receive immediate positive feedback, a signal that the effort was worthwhile. He created a simple but powerful tool, a habit tracker. He taped a large calendar to the wall next to his desk. Every single time he completed his small task, whether it was drawing for his allotted time or reading his 2 pages, he would take a thick red marker and draw a big, bold X over that day. Watching the chain of red X's grow longer and longer became a source of deep, visceral satisfaction. It was a visual testament to his consistency, a record of the promises he was keeping to himself. He also made a crucial commitment to himself: never miss twice. He accepted that life was unpredictable and that he might occasionally miss a day due to being exceptionally busy or unwell. But he vowed that he would never, under any circumstances, allow himself to miss 2 days in a row. This rule prevented a single slip-up from derailing his entire system. In the beginning, the results were almost invisible. Drawing for just 10 minutes or reading 2 pages a day did umpteen seem to be changing anything significant. His grand design project remained largely unfinished, and the architect he dreamed of becoming still felt like a distant fantasy. He was navigating what the book called the valley of latent potential, that frustrating period where your efforts are compounding beneath the surface but have you ain't yet produced a visible breakthrough. But Saha persisted. He trusted the process. He kept showing up, day after day. 10 minutes of drawing stretched to 15, then to 20, then to a focused hour. His daily habit became as automatic as brewing his morning coffee. It was like watching small drops of water fall, one by one, into a large, empty glass jar. At first, the drops seemed to disappear, the water level barely rising. It feels as if nothing is happening. But if you keep adding drops consistently, relentlessly, a critical point is reached. Suddenly, the water crests the rim, and the jar is full. 1 year after taping that small note to his monitor, Saha took a moment to look back. He was utterly astonished by the transformation. The simple act of reading just 2 pages a day had compounded into dozens of books on architecture, theory, and design, filling his mind with knowledge and inspiration. The habit of drawing just 5 lines had evolved into a portfolio of several complex, intricate, and stunningly beautiful architectural plans. He had not only completed his first major project, but had also started to attract attention for his unique style and meticulous work. More importantly, he had changed his identity. He was no longer just a person who wanted to be an architect. Every day, through those small, atomic habits, he had become someone who is an architect in reality. He landed his first client and began building his dream.